How do I begin introducing vocabulary words? So this is the point of your lesson where you have the kids, you've written down the words on the board, and so you put down the pages so they can identify it. This is where they need their books so they can actually copy the multiple sentences that relate to those vocabulary words. This is how you introduce the lesson. So you explain, good readers do this to try to figure out a word they don't know. You go over what whack means, word structure, apposition, and context clues, and you give them the hand gestures. Word structure is prefix, suffix, root word, right? Apposition is comma, definition, and context clues. Context clues are looking at the words around the sentence. And so this is where you give them some prime examples of how to use these strategies. And you say, all right, let's whack the word. And so you're going to really model this. And so you model with these simple sentences on the right. All right, let's whack the word. Let's read it chorally. You read the sentence together so they can work with the text. All right, let's go. Some people are unhappy. All right, everybody, let's whack the word. Is there any word structure? So the vocabulary word would be unhappy. What's the vocabulary word? Unhappy. Any word structure that you know? Some people will say, I know what happy means. I know what means. It means not. And then you could pretty much use word structure to figure that word out. Or you could say apposition. Are there any commas definition in there? Okay, and you say, okay, and context clues. Um, well, some people, so it has to be a feeling. So people would be a context clue to tell you that it's some type of feeling. And so what strategy did we use? We used word structure and we used context clues. And the second is a great example of apposition. And the third is a great example of what does loathe mean. And I hope that will help you introduce them to how to use the strategies. So you want to read the sentences together so the whole group can kind of grapple with the text. So here's a sentence example. All right, everybody ready? Read. Volcanic ash has caused disruption to flights in the surrounding area. So let's go ahead and whack the word. But first you pick one of your students, say, what's the vocabulary word? Josh, disruption. What's the word? Disruption. All right, let's whack the word. Whack, what is word structure? Word structure is prefix, suffix, root words. Are there any words that you don't know? Are there any words that you know? Some may say this, some may not. Oh, shun. Shun means it's kind of like forming of an action noun, right? So revolution, starvation, things like that. Okay. And sometimes they're not going to say this. And so you say any other parts of the word you don't know. And then you hear them say, oh yeah, this means to take apart or sometimes away, to go away. You say, all right, great. And you keep moving on and say, okay, whack. What's the second strategy? Apposition. Any commas definition? No, so we can move on. What's the third strategy? Context clues. Any clues in the sentence that help us figure out what disruption means? The volcanic ash has caused disruption to flights in the surrounding area. Yes, it's causing disruption to what? The flights. Or maybe they may say area. And then you debrief and you say, all right, what strategy did we use? We use word structure. We use context clues. And what would be a word that we can replace as disruption? Now, it's not going to work all the time. That will make sense. Volcanic ash has caused some type of problem to flights in the surrounding areas. All right, so we used these strategies. All right, so the next one, same thing. And so they might not figure out like interior, but some students might say, hey, my mom's the interior designer, or so it does still relate. So you definitely mark that and say, earth, let's whack the word. Any word structure? No. Any apposition? No. Any context clues? Yes, you see context clues. Something about the earth. So focusing on the earth, you may circle words, volcanic activity, something's happening, and then we know some materials coming from, and then it reaches the surface. So then your strategies, you say, okay, what were our strategies? This one we use context clues. What's another word can we substitute? The volcanic activity. Some may say this, some may not, and they may look at you like you're crazy. But you say, oh, the earth inside, right? Inside reaches its surface. So that's another way to whack the word. So last but not least, eventually they will have this building of prefixes, suffixes, so they will always know if they see the next sentence or the next word with these pieces. And so it could be on an index card. They can have re and then put again, so it could be in the category prefix. Suffixes will eventually be there. And so eventually they'll start giving you, oh, I know re means to do it again, or I know, Lee or ER means a person who. So a teacher is a person who or more. And so eventually they'll start giving you these back in discussion once you choral read the sentences. Now, of course, at this time, they should not, I mean, it's not important that they know Greek from Latin roots, but it is important they kind of starting to recognize what some of these pieces are. For example, bio, this life, the study of life, and just, I mean, not saying that you should know all of them or the student should know all of them, but if there is some time where you see it, you make sure you identify it as a Latin or a Greek root.